Well, as winter kind of slows down and spring starts to perk up a little bit, we get excited about getting outside and getting our fingers in the dirt and getting things planted. And spring is a great time to try and get your soil prepared and ready for planting time. And we're just about there. We're getting really close. Usually around the middle part of March through the end of March is a great time to get a lot of our early crops in. If we can try and prepare our soil before that, that would be great. In many cases, the best time to prepare your soil for the next planting season is in the fall. And in the fall, we try and put in, as many different varieties of things as we possibly can find. Variety is the key. You want to have, some leaves, some grass clippings, some compost, some chopped up plant material. Or any kind of organic matter is great, and the more variety of different things, the better. If you put a whole bunch of grass clippings out there and it's 4 inches, 5 inches deep, it takes forever for the grass clippings to break down. And in some cases, it takes years for some of that stuff to break down. But if you do a variety of different materials and work those all in and till those in the fall, then your soil is all ready to go in the spring, and it works great. But we can do the same thing in the spring. We just don't use as much material. So the best thing to do when you're trying to get your soil prepared is to add some organic matter. At this point, it's going to be hard to find leaves or grass clippings out there to add to your soil, but there are some really good soil amendments that we can add. I've got two right here. This one that I'm holding right now, this is called our soil building compost. Now, the soil building compost has some finely ground redwood bark in it, so you can see it's kind of barky, it's kind of coarse, but it's been composted with poultry manure and bat guano and worm castings and kelp meal, and it's got mycorrhizin, all kinds of really good things in it. And so the soil building compost is one of our favorite materials to add into our soil. Usually about a ½ an inch to an inch in the spring is plenty. Spread that over your entire garden. We like to add a couple other things in with a compost like this as we're getting ready to plant, as we're getting ready to till that soil in. But the soil building compost is excellent, and then after you've put that down, then we would put down something like our soil activator to go with it. The soil activator has all kinds of minerals and micronutrients in it to build your soil back up, but it's also full of microbes and microorganisms that will help decompose and break down all the organic matter that you're going to add into your garden. And so the soil activator will just build your soil up and really get things going as you're getting ready to plant. So when you put your compost down, add some soil activator, and you really want to add a source of nitrogen. The microbes and the organisms that are in the soil activator need nitrogen to feed on. And so the soil building compost that I showed you has a little bit of nitrogen in it, but we need a little bit of a higher source. So if you want to stick with like an organic fertilizer, because the soil activator and the soil building compost are all organic, if you want to stick with an organic fertilizer, do something like the Natural Guard organic plant food. It's got a nice blend of fertilizers in there, has a lot of different ingredients, but the great thing about this particular fertilizer is it's all in one pellet. Each pellet has the same amount of nutrient in it as the next pellet, and so as an organic fertilizer, this is one of the best ones that we've ever used, because each pellet has the same amount of fertilizer in it as the next. So it's what's called a unipel, and very rarely do you see that in an organic fertilizer. If you want to go with a synthetic fertilizer, of course, you can use ammonium sulfate, which is 21% nitrogen, or you could use a fertilizer like the tomato and vegetable food from Fertilome. Now, the tomato and vegetable food is great to start off your garden. You can broadcast over the whole garden, or you can just put it right down the rows where you're going to be planting your seeds or your transplants, and it won't burn the plants. Lasts for about 2 months and has everything in there that your plants need. So the tomato and vegetable food would be a great way to start as well too. So as you put your compost out there, and I brought another one as well too. This one is a little bit different from the soil building compost. This has a little bit more peat moss in it, so peat moss is excellent to add to your soil, but this is an organic soil amendment, and it's got a little bit of poultry manure composted in with it, and then just a little bit of bark and peat moss as well too. So this is a really nice organic material to add as well. So it really doesn't matter what you put in there, just make sure it's really well composted. We don't want to put too much on, maybe an inch at the most, ½ an inch of an organic matter like the soil building compost or like our chicken compost, and spread that over your garden. Add some fertilizer, add your soil Activator, and then till that all in. And after you've done that, your soil will be all light and fluffy and ready to go, and you can start planting at any point if your soil dries out quick enough. So this is a great way to get things started in the spring, build your soil up, and try and get it ready for the next planting season. And then you could go ahead and plant as soon as the weather is cooperative, and hopefully that will be really soon.